September 25, 2016. Hundreds of miles off the coast of Massachusetts, in the desolate waters of the Atlantic Ocean, the crew of a Chinese cargo ship spotted a small orange dot on the horizon. As the dot grew closer, it turned out to be a life raft. Inside sat a 22-year-old young man weathered by the extreme heat and salt, yet strangely remarkably calm. Nathan Carman. Nathan had set sail 8 days earlier with his mother Linda to go fishing. According to his story, a terrifying storm had struck. Their boat had sunk and his mother had been lost in the dark waters of the ocean. The young man, who claimed to have drifted on a raft for 8 days without food or water, tightly clutched the waterproof bag beside him as his very first act upon being rescued. Everyone thought it was a miraculous survival story. However, for the police and the FBI, this was no miracle. According to meteorological records, the ocean on that date was as calm as a swimming pool. No storm had ever occurred. Furthermore, this was not the first tragedy this family had experienced. A massive $44 million inheritance, the unsolved murder of a grandfather, a firearm with its serial number scratched off, and $85,000 in cash missing in the middle of the ocean. Today we will examine the ocean terror meticulously crafted step by step by a cold-blooded man. The tragic story of the Carman family. Our story doesn't begin with Nathan. It begins with World War II veteran John Chakalos. Through the real estate empire he built from scratch, John had become one of the wealthiest men in Connecticut. His net worth exceeded $44 million. However, the Chakalos family already carried a dark curse from the past. Years before Nathan's actions, the husband of one of his aunts was involved in a dark murder-suicide following a major family financial dispute. Money brought constant paranoia to this family, not peace. John had 4 daughters, but the apple of his eye was his grandson Nathan, the son of his daughter Linda. Nathan was different from his peers from childhood. He was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome at an early age. His intelligence was exceptionally high, but his capacity for emotional empathy was virtually non-existent. Although his mother nursed him for months through a severe case of chickenpox when he was a child, Nathan remained a stranger in human relationships. Midnight, December 20th, 2013. 87-year-old John Chakalos was shot in the head and chest while sleeping in his bed at his luxury home in Windsor. When the police arrived, there was no sign of forced entry. The security cameras and alarm system had been mysteriously disabled. Detectives quickly reached a familiar name: his grandson, Nathan Carman. Nathan was the last person to have dinner with his grandfather on the night he died. A deep investigation by the police revealed chilling details. Right before the incident, Nathan had legally purchased a Sig Sauer rifle from a gun shop in New Hampshire, but he had sanded down and scraped off the serial number. Hours before the murder, he went to a home improvement store and bought a high-powered headlamp and a drill. He needed the headlamp to shoot his grandfather in the pitch-black house after disabling the security system. At the estimated time of the murder, he had turned off his phone's GPS. Police brought Nathan in for questioning, but Nathan answered the questions with blank eyes that showed not a single shred of emotion.
When you received the phone call, did she share the manner of death in which your grandfather passed?
I still don't know the manner of death from which my grandfather passed. I obviously, from the circumstances, that the way you seem to be treating this, it's either murder or suicide is what I deduce. But I know that you're calling it suspicious because that's what Valerie said. But no, she just said that he passed as far as I recall. There's a bit of
Because the murder weapon could not be found, detectives were forced to release Nathan due to a lack of concrete evidence. Nathan immediately tried to collect a substantial life insurance policy under his grandfather's name. However, the inheritance was divided equally among the 4 daughters. Nathan's mother, Linda, became the owner of millions of dollars. After his grandfather's death, Nathan didn't work. He lived a secluded life using the money he received from his mother. His biggest hobby was fishing. The name he gave to the 29-foot fiberglass boat he bought was extremely strange: chicken pox. Named after the illness he suffered as a child, this boat was a cold reference to that tragic bond between him and his mother. September 17th, 2016. 3 years after his grandfather's murder case, Nathan invited his mother, Linda, for a night fishing trip. Right before leaving, Linda withdrew $85,000 in cash from her bank account. What this money was drawn for, or where it went, was never determined. Their destination was an area known as the Canyons off Block Island, but there was a massive flaw in this logic. Nathan and his mother had brought heavy fishing gear to catch tuna. However, going to those coordinates during that season in a small 29-foot boat was suicidal. Other fishermen at the marina warned Nathan, "You can't go out there in that boat." Nathan did not listen to them. There was more. Before departing from the harbor, Nathan had made so-called repairs on the boat. He had removed the boat's trim tabs and drilled holes into the lower hull. They set sail that night, and for days nothing was heard from them. The Coast Guard searched the ocean for 7 days. Just as the search was about to be called off, Nathan was found on the 8th day. But the story he told did not match reality. Nathan claimed that a sudden storm hit, the boat quickly took on water, and he told his mother to throw the raft overboard, but she suddenly vanished from sight. He himself managed to get into the raft with his waterproof bag, emergency flares, and food. Yet, he hadn't even jumped into the water to save his mother. Coast Guard teams were shocked by the data in their reports. On the day Nathan claimed a storm hit, the ocean at those coordinates was as calm as a sheet of glass. The weather was clear. Furthermore, Nathan, who claimed to have drifted in the raft for 8 days, showed no severe sunburns or serious dehydration on his skin. Linda Carman was gone, and her body was never found. The rule was simple. If the mother was dead, the majority of the $44 million inheritance would pass directly to her only son, Nathan. At this point, Linda's sisters, Nathan's aunts, went to court. There is a very clear principle in American law, the Slayer statute. According to this law, a person cannot collect the inheritance of someone they murdered. The aunts presented chilling evidence to the court. Home video recordings from Nathan's childhood and youth. In these videos were instances of Nathan's cruel and unempathetic behavior toward animals, as well as his obsessive and cold interactions with his grandfather.
They forgot. You ran away! Oh, Nathan, we heard him. We got Haley. We heard him. Haley, we heard him. What did he do? We're gonna let him go. Yeah, we heard him.
Oh, you know what, Nathan? It's okay. You know what, Nathan? Liz.
The FBI also stepped in. Forensic analysis of Nathan's computers revealed incredible search queries. How long does it take for sunken boats to reach the bottom in the open sea? How to commit murder without leaving evidence? how to collect money from insurance companies. All signs pointed in a single direction. Nathan had first shot his grandfather using a headlamp and a drill to disable the security systems, and later brought his mother into the middle of the ocean along with $85,000 in cash, sinking the boat named Chicken Pox with his own hands. In 2022, the FBI arrested Nathan Carman on charges of first-degree murder of his mother on the high seas and insurance fraud. However, as the court proceedings began, the American public plunged into a massive ethical debate. Nathan's defense attorneys reminded the court of his Asperger's syndrome diagnosis, arguing that his inability to show empathy was not cold-blooded murder, but rather a cognitive disorder. The question was, could autism or Asperger's syndrome be used as a shield in a premeditated double murder? In the fall of 2023, Nathan was scheduled to appear before the court and cameras, after which he would be sent to prison for the rest of his life. However, that court date never came. On the morning of June 15, 2023, guards checking his cell found the lifeless body of 29-year-old Nathan Carman. Months before his trial, Nathan had committed suicide in his cell. He left no note, no sign of remorse, and not a single confession behind. With Nathan's death, the criminal case was legally dismissed. With Nathan Carman's death, a massive wreckage was left behind. His mother Linda's body was never found. The gun with the scraped-off serial number that killed his grandfather and the $85,000 in cash withdrawn from the bank never surfaced. As for the $44 million inheritance, after turning family members against each other and destroying them, it turned into a dusty file in the court archives. Was Nathan truly a cold-blooded killer who hid behind Asperger's syndrome to methodically execute a plan for an inheritance? The answer to this question was buried alongside Linda Carman's body in the dark waters of the Atlantic Ocean, and will likely remain there forever. Do you think Nathan was guilty? Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel. Take care until the next video.